Hey, what's up guys? I'm R2. As you probably know, recently a new Megacollab drill hood which I and Charmy hosted has come out. With that, I've got hit with an idea to make a video like this, in which basically I'll provide some tips and basic knowledge on merging or connecting the parts in a Megacollab. There is nothing really too hard about it, and yet, when I go through my level request channel on Discord, and just while casually playing random levels, I still see a lot of really amateur mistakes that could have been avoided so easily that you have no idea. To my mind, even if a mega collab consists of banger parts, it can still be ruined by poor merging in no time, so as a collab host, that's definitely a useful skill to learn. In case you didn't know, I hosted 4 mega collabs so far, and the 5th one, La Llorona, is currently in progress, so I definitely have to know something about something or I couldn't time my shows. I'm aware there are far more experienced guys in the community who could have made a video like this, but hey, I'm definitely not the worst one to do it. Just to let you know, I'll be mainly using Drill Hut as an example for this video, so here are some assumptions we'll make. The layout was done separately and the decorated parts were pasted into it, and the style of the level is somewhat consistent. Also, this is my first ever scripted video, so be sure to let me know what you think about it, and perhaps, if you like it, suggest topics for more of these. Let's get started. I think it goes without saying, but I'll point that out just in case. You only run into the issue of merging if your mega collab is being done by what is called all build method, which implies every participant building their part on their own separate copies. So if your mega collab is being finished part by part, implying each member passing their part to the next one, obviously you don't need to merge anything. So every participant has finished their parts. What's next? Well, your job as a collab host is to get the parts from people as they finish. Notice how I say parts and not IDs. It is quite important as unlisted levels can be unreliable and can be deleted without you wanting them to, for reasons unknown to me, obviously excluding the level having below 1k objects. So as people finish, you copy their parts. I recommend you giving them sensible names and using GD's folder feature. This will help you later when you have every part in your saved levels. Now to the actual merging. Merging of Megacollabs is done by using custom object feature. What you do is you copy the part and then paste you into a different level. Of course, the part wouldn't likely to have less than 100 objects, so you'll have to use a custom object bypass hack. I personally use MegaHack version 6 by Absolute, which is paid, but you can also use MegaHack version 5, which is free and isn't any worse for this purpose. So what's now? You should carefully select the part, not miss anything nor select anything extra. In my case, the extra things are these layout parts, for example. When selecting, it is important to not forget any triggers that could be way higher than the part itself. You may also want to turn off in-game ground, as there might be also some triggers behind it. Be very patient about it. The longest part of hosting a mega is complete. Now you definitely don't want to ruin the results of months of work by simply your carelessness. Don't forget to check the space to the left and to the right of the part. The creator could have put some triggers there, usually alpha or color triggers. And yes, using this all build method implies the participants using color triggers to set up their colors, not the in-game interface, so that the host can copy their color settings to a different level. In my case, I forgot to do that for my own part, which is quite ironic. It's not too big of a problem though. All you need to do is just to manually transfer the colors from in-game interface to triggers. Here's a little tip to make you faster and more accurate with that. If the color doesn't use copy color option, you can simply click that default button and it will transfer the color for you automatically. Just remember to switch color channels. If the color channel uses that copy color option, you'll have to simply recreate its settings by hand. It's boring, but it's gotta be done. Yet again, let me remind you to be very careful and patient. So you selected the entire part and copied it into your custom objects. Awesome, now you need to paste it into another level. Which level, by the way? Well, it seems clever to paste the second part of your Mega Collab to the level which already contains the first part, right? So this is exactly what you should do. It's not going to be parts 1 and 2 specifically in my case, but it doesn't matter for the showcase purposes. By the way, before pasting anything anywhere, make sure you make a new copyable after each new part pasted, and also make a new copyable before connecting the first and the second parts. This will help you to recover and not lose all of your merging progress in case you screw something up later. You got that, nice. You made it copyable and ready to paste the part in. In my case, I also do extra job of selecting the layout segments of the part I'm about to pasting and to linking together for the purpose I'll cover later. So let's paste the part in. Oh, what the hell is this? Why is it squeezed like that? Well, that's how custom objects work. It puts the center of your custom object to that very place you clicked at. Of course you hit Ctrl Z to get rid of that mess. Now you're basically throwing darts for a little. Try to paste the part so it doesn't get squeezed. It's not too hard to get the idea of how it works. So you should be done after a couple of attempts. Now that your part is pasted and not squeezed, what you want to do is to turn on snap option, turn on free move option, go to the edit tab and now drag the entire thing a few pixels away. It is important to align the part on grid. After doing that, zoom in a little and check if the part is aligned on grid now. You can use elements like blocks or saw blades or anything that is usually on grid. If it's not after your first dragging and snapping, try a few more times. When it's finally done, use the WASD keys to move the part and to the exact place where it should be. I recommend using elements like gameplay portals, speed changers and orbs as reference to put the part in place. After you're done, you can finally deselect the entire thing. By the way, remember that we selected and linked the gameplay segment in before? Well, now that we have the part pasted in, we don't need it anymore, so select any of those old gameplay objects and delete the entire thing. Perfect. Are we done? Not quite. There are still a couple of things you need to check. Zoom out and take a look at the part. Be especially attentive to the spot where two parts meet. Is there anything that obviously isn't supposed to be there? Well, in my case you can see that something clearly isn't right about that huge glow. That's an element Sauditz used for his part, but he didn't make it invisible before entering his part, so now we'll have to do it ourselves. Simply select whatever is in your way and check which group does it have. Make these groups invisible and put the alpha trigger way before the part starts. That will help you to avoid any visual bugs. Don't forget to make the group visible again when the part starts though. So in my case, it looks like that. Alrighty, are we done now? Oh yes, I think we are, for the most part. The part is in place and it's working, but there is still something that we gotta cover. I'm talking about transitions. Oh boy, that terrifying word that scares the crap out of an experienced host. Easily the trickiest part of the entire process of merging. Most people can do what I've covered above with no problems, you just need to try one time or two to get the idea of how it's done. Making nice transitions though is different. Unlike pure merging, it heavily depends on the two parts you're making the transition to and from. There is no really a formula here, so I'll just list a few tips and tricks you can use. Before speaking on that, let me remind you of one of the two assumptions we made in the beginning. The style of the level is somewhat consistent, so in my case, the style is design glow with 1.9 wipe. If your level has a modern, a design and an art part in a row, my tips would not likely to be very useful for you. First of all, I want to mention a few things to avoid when making transitions. I'll be using my own old Megacollab Whirlwind as an example. Under any circumstances, please do not put a huge black wall covering the upcoming part and disappearing once you get close to it. It may sound like a good idea to do that if, let's say, the parts you're connecting look very different. It's never a good idea though. This is the laziest and arguably the ugliest way to make a transition. Really, it's just better to put nothing instead of this abomination. Think about it this way, why do you have two very differently looking parts in your Mega right next to each other in the first place? Perhaps you did something wrong while explaining your creators what to do? Rethinking your past mistakes won't fix the current issue though, so you'll have to do something. That's where it gets much harder than simply putting parts together. Having some creating experience is absolutely vital here. It is possible that you need to make a cool effect that will make the transition nice and smooth and not lazy. Take a look at the transition between Freddy Funky's and Galvatron's part in Cybernetic Rescent. These parts are extremely different style-wise and simply sticking them together would look really bad. So Galva's part is invisible at first, then some segments of it quickly flash and appear one by one, along with Freddy Funky's part fading away and boom, you get a nice looking transition between two absolutely different parts. Imagine how it would look with a lazy black screen transition. The next tip is do not simply leave your transitions empty. I see people doing that a lot when transitioning from the pre-drop to the drop. Such parts often don't have any gameplay, just some blue pads auto, so unexperienced hosts simply do nothing about it, and it results in a level looking like a bunch of random parts stacked on top of each other with no sense of cohesion or connection. Once again, I'll use my own old Megacollab Whirlwind as an example of what not to do. See how weird and disconnected it looks when your cube is just sliding on invisible blocks in the middle of nowhere? Not very good. Referring to the first tip, there is no really a formula to help you with every transition you might need to do, but here's some good examples of what people did. Depending on your creating experience, you can come up with some sick effects to match the vibe of the song and create a smooth transition. Take a look at Cryogenic Haze by Brazil Team, for example. There is a 5-second auto part between the build-up section and the drop section, so these guys went with crazy effects building up the intensity for the upcoming drop part. It doesn't look lame at all and fits into the level perfectly. If you don't think the effect would fit or you wouldn't be able to pull them off, you can try a design approach to transitions. Yet again, this is quite difficult to generalize, so I'll provide a few examples and hopefully you can catch the idea. Take a look at Nepal by Marvik and others. Marvik's part is followed by Eggnog's part, which serves as an awesome transition. I know this is technically a standalone part of the level, and yet I'm still gonna point out it works perfectly as a transition between Marvik's and Ferdifunky's parts, which are both incredibly intense, but at the same time quite different. Another example would be Betelgeuse by Proxima. Since it's short auto section, that's a really nice way to link the parts together when the song lets you to. The transition is smooth and really atmospheric, which is done by abrupt black screen when the song quiets down, amazing design, and the turning on and off lights synced to the music. The last example I'm gonna give is Biohazard by Me and the Boys. Short auto section with a simple yet fitting cutscene complements the level nicely, preparing the player for the last bits of the level. The last but not the least, simply play around with color settings. Hopefully you don't even need to do a crazy transition. Take a look at Zafkill's and Enix's part in Drillhood. They obviously don't look very good together. Zafkill's part's green, Enix's part's orange, and it's all kind of a mess. It's probably the easiest thing to fix though. Notice how Enix set up his colors. It's not done by copying the background color as often, he just straight up puts the colors he wants. So let's shift them from orange to green before Enix's part actually starts. Copy all the orange colors and move them to the left. We can do that by selecting the color trigger, clicking this button, and using the first column to go from orange to green. Don't forget to put original orange colors when Enix's part actually starts though. Give it a short fade time so it looks nice and smooth. Oh, you see how Zafkill's part looks out of place being green now? Well, we can fix that by doing the exact same thing. Just find all green colors of Zafkill and turn them orange when Enix's part starts. Boom! There you go. A nice and smooth transition without using any effects or complicated techniques at all. This of course implies that the creators are being 100% professional and make no mistakes, which is, well, not always the case. The final product of your merging may have visual bugs, gameplay bugs, or be even completely impossible due to creators' inattention. Most of these come from people using groups or colors channels that do not belong to their parts, which later results in two different parts sharing the same groups, which of course completely screws up the level. Fortunately, I didn't have to experience the pain of seeing two creators using the same groups in my Megacollabs, and I hope you won't too. However, such kind of an issue on a smaller scale had happened when I was merging Drillhood. I'll have to give you some context for this, so listen carefully. For this Megacollab, color channels 1, 2, and 3 were restricted for changing. They were universal colors for everybody to use. It was allowed to change these IDs in your part, but it was not allowed to change them. While building his part, Zipxbox violated this. The color channel 1 was supposed to be universally solid black. Zipxbox changed it to copy color background blending. So every object from the part before the Pixbox's one that was previously solid black using color channel 1 suddenly became blending using background's color, which obviously isn't very good. In my case, it wasn't too difficult to fix that. Simply look at the broken part before and after the color trigger that makes it broken. Find every object that is using that color channel, which is channel 1 for me, and rearrange it to any different color channel with the color you need, which is solid black for me. Such things could be either easy or tough to fix depending on how many objects are using that broken color channel. I guess that's it for this video. Surely I didn't cover every single thing that can go wrong when merging a Megacollab, but I think I covered the basics pretty well, and following those tips would help you to make your Megacollabs look professional. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you think of this video and whether or not you would like to see more of these, and of course, thank you for watching!